I
in
mean,
the sense that,
they aren't defending Sony. It's more like they're going after Microsoft.
yeah,
And to be fair, Microsoft's done a lot of fucked up shit. So I'm not going to be like, this isn't the defense of Microsoft because I mean, like, okay. And I mean, we started the podcast, so we might as well just keep it rolling. The thing about Microsoft that people need to understand is that Microsoft has been doing shady shit for years. Like, don't believe the spin, the story that they're trying to get out there. Well, we can't compete with Sony because of blah, 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 and X this, and they won't let us do any. Microsoft can afford to have the Xbox division continue to lose money, and they're going to be fine.
yeah,
Sony, if Sony has, like, if they have a generation where the PlayStation doesn't at least break even, Sony is fucked.
yeah,
Like, they can't. So, Sony is going to do what they need to do in order to make sure that that division is profitable. However, here's the thing: everyone's all like, "Oh man, how could Sony do that?" You mean the same shit that Nintendo did back in the day?
yeah.
Nintendo, why do you think all of the RPGs were on the Super Nintendo and never on Sega Genesis? Because Nintendo sewed up all those contracts, sewed them
Yeah.
up tight, tighter than well, I mean, I could use an analogy that would be a little bit too vulgar for this platform, but the point is this, okay? Um, like, that's just how these companies do business. Now, do I think it's cool? No. I mean, I would love to go back to a time where almost every platform got some form of a JRPG or an RPG, and everything was everywhere. But Sony, Sony did that, you know.
Yeah.
And then once it was no longer useful for them to have JRPG support, they abandoned JRPGs.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, it happened during it seemed like it happened during the PS3 era.
yeah. So right now, what's going on with Sony? What people need to understand is that Sony is kind of between a rock and a hard place because, uh, like, they're worried about Call of Duty, but really, it's not Call of Duty that they should be worried about. It's Microsoft getting access to King, which basically, if Microsoft gets access to King, which is Activision Blizzard King, and they integrate King's ability to microtransaction and the algorithm they use to market to people with Game Pass, it's done.
Yeah.
The Xbox will be a Game Pass itself will be a juggernaut because why the fuck would you need here's the thing, Sony is playing checkers, Microsoft is playing chess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I know some people are going to be like, but look, listen. I don't give a fuck about. I don't like Microsoft. I don't like Sony. I have a Xbox Series S. I've played maybe 20 hours on it. The only reason I
Yeah.
got it was because I got a fantastic deal where I got like a year and a half of Game Pass that was subsidized with the price, and I paid $5.30 for it. So
Yeah.
I can't really, you know, I can't really get, I don't give a shit about either company. Okay, if Sony said next
Yeah,
week we're no longer selling consoles, I wouldn't give a shit because I mostly game on PC these days.
I don't care who wins. I just find this whole thing funny. This thing is just some of the stuff that I've been hearing coming out of this thing has just been hilarious, and some of it's just come off as super petty.
Well, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, Microsoft is playing the ignorant card. Like, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's like we can't compete. It's like, look, okay, look, let's keep it 100%. Okay, Microsoft bought ZeniMax so that they could get Bethesda. Id to a lesser
Yeah.
extent, but mostly Bethesda. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
they got Bethesda because they wanted to. They need a killer app for their systems. Bethesda games are a killer app. Okay,
Yep.
and if you're the FTC and you're like, oh my God, how'd they do that? Look, Why isn't a first party game? Because now Bethesda's first party. Why isn't a first party game on a competing platform? That is a stupid ass question. Then if you're gonna go after a company for that, then we need to go after McDonald's for not putting their Big Mac on the Burger King menu.
Like one of the things that I heard coming out of was actually kind of petty, kind of petty on both sides, but more so on Sony's. The fact that they wouldn't supply Microsoft with the dev kits so they could develop Minecraft for the PS5 version, and they didn't because they were afraid of the trade secrets coming out or whatever.
You mean Microsoft
And,
wouldn't give the dev kits to Sony?
no, Sony wouldn't give a PS5 dev kit to Microsoft to develop a Minecraft version, a PS5 version of
Minecraft,
Minecraft.
like one of the most popular
Yeah.
games of all time.
Yeah. So they were like, well, looks like you're not getting a PS5 version.
Or
It's
it's so that's why the PS5 version of Minecraft is just an up-res port of the PS4 version. Like they don't have a
yeah,
version that takes advantage of the horsepower behind the PS5 because Sony is
no,
being a dick.
yeah, they were being they were being petty. It's just like you guys practically have the same hardware. I don't. Plus, it's kind of sort of illegal to infringe on another company's software. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know.
and the elephant in the room is they're like, yes, the leader of the 10th of the ninth gen is Sony. I'm like, yeah. I mean, are we just ignoring this fat little short stubby Italian immigrant over here? We're just gonna
Yeah,
ignore this little
exactly.
some bitch right here, huh? And his slightly taller brother.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. That
That's
was
where I'm
funny to
like,
me
okay,
too.
all right. What?
That was one of the funniest things to come out of this was the fact that they were like,
They keep on
yeah,
ignoring
to
Nintendo.
Nintendo. I was like, okay, that's just wow. Like, you guys are real desperate for a win here.
Well, I mean, look, listen. Microsoft has put a lot of fucking money into trying to get into trying to get uh this deal to go through.
Yeah,
Um like a fuck ton of money. Sony is scared because if Microsoft gets access to Call of Duty, because by and large, right now, Call of Duty, like 2 gens ago, during the 7th gen, was primarily an Xbox selling uh, IP. Now it is a Sony
yeah,
selling IP. It shifted over because Microsoft pulled out a pair of shears and cut off their own dick with the reveal of the Xbox One. Uh, and Sony's like, now that we got it, we're going to keep it going. The problem with this is that for Sony is that most of Sony's first party games don't sell as well as their third party games. And functionally speaking, even if Microsoft does put Call of Duty on the Sony platform, that money isn't going to be going to Activision Blizzard. It's going to be going to Microsoft because Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard. And so that's money. It's kind of like why Microsoft was kind of fucking stupid to put the Blu-ray player in their Xbox One, because every Xbox that they sold, they had to give a cut of that money to Sony and the other marketing Blu-ray conglomerate symposium for the Blu-ray patent. So not only were they losing money on every Xbox One sold, they had to give a chunk of the money that they were losing to, they had to write a fat check to Sony against every Xbox they sold that had a Blu-ray in it.
yeah,
That's why you don't want to have other people's technology in your shit.
yeah,
And so basically, functionally speaking, Microsoft is like it's a three-pronged attack. And but the thing is that Microsoft doesn't really give a fuck about Sony because, like I said, Microsoft can afford to lose money on the Xbox. Sony can't afford to lose money on the PlayStation.
yeah.
And both of them are conveniently ignoring that Nintendo is like sitting right there, like, "Hey guys, Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, we have sold the Wii and creeping closer to the PS2. What and sales numbers? What do you
We're
have?
not we're
What's
not the
up?
number one we're not the number one. We kicked off the ninth gen, but we're not the number one console sold. The number one
Mm,
gaming device sold in the ninth gen is not the Nintendo Switch. It's PlayStation. I'm like, that's the stupidest shit. Now, I understand that the FTC's argument is that you can't compare the Switch in terms of the technical horsepower to a PS5 or an Xbox Series S or X. You can't.
yeah.
It's an improper arrangement. So on a technical level, in terms of like the actual hardware capabilities, you can't compare the Switch to the others. You also can't compare the infrastructure or any of that other shit. So like in a way, I do understand where their argument's coming from, but I also have to be like, yeah, but you're ignoring the elephant in the room, which is where I have an
Yeah,
issue.
the generation, a new console generation is more than just the horsepower.
No, it's the next system. So the
Next
Switch
iteration,
was the Nintendo kicked off the eighth gen with the Wii U. That didn't do well. So then they basically went back and said, okay, we know what the problem is. It's the fact that the Wii U, the gamepad is attached to a console. So we're gonna get rid of the gamepad. We're gonna get rid of the console and just give you the handheld. And that's the Switch. That's functionally what the Switch
yeah.
is, really. You know,
Yeah.
no asymmetrical gameplay, games that run like ass compared. Multiplats, previous gen games that ran better on the old hardware than the new hardware.
Yeah.
You know, uh, other iterations of games. Like I will stay. I will fight. I will go with this till the end of time. The Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 were much would have been better had they been on the Wii U with the dual screen gameplay.
Yeah.
Because playing it with just the one screen is not very fun. A Wonderful 101 playing it with a single screen is not fun either. Um,
Yeah.
it feels like playing those games on the Switch feels like there's something missing. Like I'm
Yeah.
like I'm looking down. I'm like, well, uh,
Yeah.
and you say that, and people are like, oh my god, how could you say that? Fuck off. Be like Star Wars. Search your feelings. You know that to be true.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. But that's my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree because we live in a society where everyone has their opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, or should. Anyway, I think we have that. I guess we can segue into
To the next topic.
well, I mean, it kind of relates to what we're going with, which is Bethesda and Starfield. So, Bethesda is partnering with AMD to
Yeah.
deliver the optimized version of Starfield onto PC. And some console fanboys and PC fanboys are getting mad about that. It's like it should be on Nvidia. It's like they're getting angry
Nvidia's
about it.
so
I'm like, you do
Nvidia,
realize they're like you're
Nvidia's so
locking.
villain right now.
Well, the hilarious thing is that they're like you're
Nvidia's the best
locking
thing.
the gameplay behind an AMD graphics card. It's like conveniently forgetting that
Yeah.
Nvidia has been doing this shit for years.
Yeah. Yep.
There are games. There's like 13 to 15 games in my Steam library I can't play. Want to know why? Because they use PhysX, and I have never. I think I only have one device, my gaming laptop, that uses an NVIDIA graphics card. It's a 3080.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aside from that,
Yeah. There are so many games out there with the NVIDIA Splash, the way it's meant to be played.
back in the day, it's got physics.
Yeah.
RDNA, R2DNA, whatever the fuck it's called. Look, let me explain something to you. Companies do this, and NVIDIA has they have like 85% of the market.
Yeah.
They have 85% of the fucking market. So what? You can't let anyone else have anything.
Nope.
You can't even have that little bit. Well, I just need something. No. Fuck you.
I mean, NVIDIA is really looking like the big bad wolf right now. They're like the main villain. I'm not saying AMD is an angel or anything, but some of the stuff that they've been pulling with their graphics cards, especially with the latest ones, it's like you just wonder why.
I mean, here's what I'm going to say. I think that ultimately, and this is just my own personal. This is my own personal opinion. I think that Bethesda should have been optimizing this thing for PC like 2 years ago. Like the fact that they just now like, yeah, we have a partnership to optimize this to use AMD graphics cards. I'm like, that worries me if this game's supposed to come out in September or August. August? Here, let me look it up. Starfield. I can go on Steam. What?
Maybe they've been optimizing stuff for AMD for a while. They just announced it. It's just an announcement.
Even if they've been doing it for a while, I don't trust September 6th. I don't trust Bethesda. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely good reason not to.
I don't trust Bethesda. I also am, I'm an old hat at dealing with Bethesda's bullshit, and I'm pretty sure, I'm reasonably certain
Reasonably certain that they're gonna mess this one up.
I'm reasonably certain that there's going to be some bullshit involved. Because here's the thing: Bethesda doesn't make stable games. Those games always at launch are kind of like a mess. You know, like they are always a fucking mess. I've never played an Elder Scrolls game or a Bethesda game, especially a Bethesda proper game at launch, and be like, oh yeah, this is a smooth gameplay experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. You know, I got Fallout 4 at launch. Well, no. I got Fallout 4 like 8 months after it came out, and it still was a broken piece of shit. I got Fallout. I got Skyrim at launch because I didn't have a gaming PC that could run it at the time, so I got it on PS3. Woo! That was a mistake. I fucked up on that one. You fucked up, Logan. That's right. I fucked up on that one. You wanna know why?
Why is that?
Because that game was a broken piece of shit. Total broken piece of shit. Like, basically, Bethesda would release a patch for the game, and it would make the game even more broken than it was before.
Yeah.
Like, you could, like, G4, like, made jokes about how, like, oh man, the dragons are flying backwards. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but I spent $60 on this game. That is the only game that it was so broken that after playing it for like 2 weeks, I just returned it. I went to GameStop. I played through one of the factional quests, and then I beat the game, like the main quest. I was like, I'm done, and I put it in the thing, and I returned it to GameStop, and for like $50 in store credits. I was
Mm.
like, hey, I can't. Do you imagine? Like, and here's the thing, man. I played Fallout New Vegas on the PS3. New Vegas was notoriously unstable. Played that on the
Yeah.
PS3. Played Fallout 3 on the PS3. And Skyrim broke me on PS3.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I can't. Like the game, like if you played for longer than 30 or 40 minutes, the cell architecture, you'd have a memory bleed where the game would start glitching out, would start stuttering. And if you tried to go into a building, the game would crash and you'd lose all your data because it would divert to the earliest save.
Wow.
And that was on the PS3. That's arguably the most powerful console of the 8th gen or 7th gen PS3.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear, oh man, this game is like, it's Bethesda. I don't trust Bethesda. I'd sooner trust my newborn baby around a dingo than Bethesda to make a game that isn't a broken, buggy piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Exactly.
mention that to people, they're like, that's part of the charm. No, no, that is not part of the charm.
No, we shouldn't be thinking like that.
You know, I've never understood that. The people who are fans of Bethesda, they just love defending their bullshit ass uh gameplay design choices. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not really, look, man, look, we already know, Bethesda already said only 10% of the planets in Starfield have life.
Oh, jeez.
So 90% of the game is going to be empty. Now, I guarantee that's not a design choice. That's because Bethesda realized putting populating these planets with an ecosystem is hard. So we'll just have them
Yeah.
be lifeless rocks, and we can use less time and energy making this shit.
Yeah, I can put, maybe put a treasure chest or something.
That's what that shit's
In the
about.
middle or whatever. Maybe a couple monsters. What do?
Did you say something?
No, I said, they might put like a treasure chest or something on the planet and or a monster to on the lifeless planet. You could be like, oh, I guess that's what you want to do.
I mean, here's what I'm gonna say. Um, Here's what I'm gonna say about that. Bethesda's games are overpriced. Or sorry, are like they have very what's the word I'm looking for? They're very ambitious, but their ambition never really pans out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like if you play Elder Scrolls Oblivion, right? And if like I'm kind of a fan of the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion, like the capital city of the Elder Scrolls. The capital city in the Empire of Man is supposed to be this awesomely large and impressive place. And they because it was difficult, because it got difficult, they were like, this is hard. So let's just scale it down.
Yeah.
It's hard, so we'll just cheap out. Which should be Bethesda's mantra. Oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. So to hell with it.
It's too hard. Let's not do anything with it.
It's hard. It's hard to make a game. It's hard to make a game that has characters. It's hard. Like, okay, they created an AI system to a behavioral AI system for their NPCs. But because they didn't want to go through the code in order to optimize it for the NPCs, and they just want to do dirty edits for the NPCs didn't have an ethical subroutine. So basically, like, if a character was hungry and they didn't have any money, they would go and steal from someone. The person would then attack them and attack that person. Now, the person they stole from may be weaker than them, so that person who stole from them and got caught would kill that person. Then the guards would come and kill that person. So you had entire towns killing someone over a sweet roll or an apple or some money. so it's like, and rather than them try and fix it, because that would have been amazing for a game that came out in like 2000. I think, when did Oblivion come out? Here, let me look this up. Because Elder Scrolls Oblivion. (2006). That's amazing for a game that is 10, almost 15 years old.
Yeah.
To have that level, and rather than actually, do that shit, they were just like, nah, we'll just do the bare minimum.
The bare minimum.
Or actually, I'm not going to say the bare minimum. Bethesda does just enough. And then modders,
just enough to get by.
Yeah, and then modders pick it up and keep, they do just enough to say, oh, we released a game, and then modders have to come and fix their games and make them presentable.
Work just like my high school career, just enough to get by.
That is terrible. That is a terrible thing. So anyway, I think we can keep. I think we've beat that dead horse. Speaking of companies spending a lot of money on bullshit, Sony, the FTC hearing is still going on. So basically, guess how much it costs to make The Last of Us 2 and Horizon Forbidden West?
Almost $1 billion.
No.
Almost $1 billion. 250 million?
You're in the ballpark, but a little too high. One more guess.
See, about 200 million.
Ding! Around 200 million. It took Horizon Forbidden West cost 212 million over a 5-year period with 300 full-time developers. The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million.
Wow.
With 200 full-time employees. So basically, the Horizon Forbidden West people got paid less. Like, the developers got paid less because 212 divided amongst 300 people is way less than 200 million divided amongst 220 million divided up amongst 200 people. So clearly they gave more of a fuck about the Naughty Dog people than the Horizon people.
Yeah, Horizon was a bigger game too.
Yeah, and they got paid less to do it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Sony, yeah, so in order for that game to be profitable, for those games to have been profitable, and that's just the development cost. That's not the marketing cost. So add another 100 million on top of that. So you're looking at 300 million for Horizon Forbidden West and 220 million for Last of Us Part 2. Let me look up the sales numbers of those two games. Horizon Forbidden West. Because I know that sold 8.4 million. Sold 8.4 million. Let's put that around $40 a pop. Because you have to factor in sales and bundles and shit like that, which means they're not getting full price for all that. So let me use my calculator. Calculator. Let's see, $40 a pop times 8.4 equals. So that game barely broke even.
What game was that?
Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say $60 a pop because you have to factor in that you have to factor in that a lot of those games are being sold in bundles. A lot of those games are being sold on a discount due to sales and shit. Not everyone is buying Horizon Forbidden West at launch. Okay.
Yeah.
So that game sold 336 million. 330. That game made 336 million million. So I mean that game barely broke even. This is why Sony is putting their games on PC so they can make more money off of them because y'all ain't buying your games. I think didn't Horizon Forbidden West come to PC?
Not yet.
Okay, no, that was the other one came to PC. Okay.
Yeah.
Now Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
That game sold. It sold 10 million.
Yeah.
So 336 minus 212 equals 124. Then minus another 100 million for the marketing equals. Yeah, that's like $24 million of profit they made. For a multi-billion-dollar company. Now you know why Sony, y'all Sony fanboys. Oh, Sony makes the best first-party games. They really aren't making that much money off of them.
No. Yeah, Sony first-party games have a terrible attach rate compared to Nintendo stuff. Not to mention, Nintendo doesn't spend nearly as much as Sony does in their first-party games, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now let's look at The Last of Us Part 2 sold 10 million, so we're going to do 10 times 40. It's 400 minus, let's just say 300 for the total cost. So that made a respectable 100 million.
Yeah.
That's respectable. You know, not good for a multi-billion-dollar company, but it's respectable for if that was an indie game, if that was an indie studio, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And I would say that probably those costs are probably even higher.
Yeah.
But, that's my own personal opinion. But with that being said, you have any thoughts on it?
Um, it just looks like game costs are just gonna keep ballooning, I guess, until they realize, maybe we should take a different route.
Nah, man. No
But
one ever realizes that they need to lower their costs or
yeah,
just put shit on multiple platforms. That's also a good way to lower your costs is to put shit on multiple platforms and not put everything on one. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. The only company who can put all their shit in one platform and still make money is Nintendo, and that's because Nintendo is fucking crazy. No, I'm joking. It's because Nintendo keeps their costs under control.
yeah,
You know, um,
why they don't go out and make these ultra powerful consoles.
well, I mean, how can I put this nicely? I don't think that I don't think it's the power of the console that's the problem. The problem the problem with the problem with costs is really um like people don't focus on the craft of making games anymore. It's all about, well, look at these graphics, you know.
Yeah,
No one does interesting things like, hey man,
yeah. Everybody wants to just chase the same. Chase. Oh, look at this, new graphical showcase experience.
yeah, people don't focus on like me personally. I would rather have stable performance over pretty graphics because I mean, but then again, I play on PC, so I can have both. I can have a gorgeous
Yeah,
game that runs well if I put enough power behind my rig, which I have done.
yeah,
I have updated my rig quite a bit.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about PC gaming is you can kind of sort of have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. One of the cool things about PC gaming is that you can do that. You can in fact like,
Mm,
oh, well, I can have it both. I can have it both
yeah,
ways.
yeah,
Whereas if you play on console, you have to these days you have to pick and choose. Like even if you get the
yeah,
upgraded, like if you get the Xbox Series X, you got a choice: performance mode or barely getting by or graphics mode. In performance
yeah,
mode, you might get 60 frames. Probably not though.
yeah,
Anyway, um, guess we can move on to our final topic and then free topic. Our final topic is
Nintendo
kind of
Direct,
what?
or do you want to? Is it the Nintendo Direct, or you
Yeah,
want to talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
something else?
I was just going to talk about some of the stuff that was announced during the direct that I guess we didn't cover yesterday. Nintendo Direct announcements. All right. I don't know. Like I said, didn't give a shit about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Sonic Superstars. I was like, this looks really interesting, but then I realized it's got Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Rose, and I've never liked Amy Rose. I know they'll probably
Oh,
add other characters, but I just didn't give a fuck about Amy Rose.
thing is, I was watching some gameplay. I was like, this game looks okay, but that music sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm turning to you when it comes to Street Fighter. When it came to Street Fighter, I preferred the art style of Sonic Mania
Yeah,
versus this art style, which is like 3D, which Sonic does not have a
yeah,
good record with 3D game styles.
yeah.
Uh,
They haven't figured out a 3D art style that really works for Sonic. That really pops.
I mean, I guess
Like
the
this,
closest was Lost World,
yeah,
and even
yeah. That was probably the
even that looked
closest.
kind of janky. They
Yeah,
announced Palia, which I don't really give free to. It's a free to play life simulator. Which, if it's free to play, that means there's going to be microtransactions somewhere in there. So I'm not interested. Persona 5 Tactics. Uh, it's Persona 5 Tactics. That's whatever. Uh, Super Mario RPG remake.
yeah. I was excited about that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is
Looks
cool.
like looks like they're changing some stuff up a little bit.
I mean, it just looks higher resolution. They changed a few of the things, like things that you had to squint to see when we were kids. That it's now much more open. Like you can see the little toy box that you find in Booster Tower that has Samus in it. You can clearly see Samus now. She's clear. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I hope, like I said, I hope they raise the level cap from 30 to 40, and
Yeah,
that's it. Just a higher level. Maybe add like maybe 2 or 3 new areas. Like I don't want
yeah.
this to be just we just ported this game over. It's like you didn't add anything, you didn't make it any like just straight up the same shit we already did. Okay. Um Myth Force, meh. I played that in the Steam Next demo thing they had, and I was kind of underwhelmed by it.
Yeah, that game looked like trash.
I mean, the art style looks good, but all it is like a co-op uh, procedurally generated game where you either go by yourself to loot a tomb or you go with friends to loot a tomb. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like I don't really give
Why
a shit
couldn't this
about
just
this.
be? Yeah, why couldn't it just been a single player game or something?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you can play it single player, but it's one of those games that's more fun to play with someone else.
Yeah.
And I'm an only child. I'm used to playing by myself. So I don't get that. I have to play with my friends. I'm like, what type of loser? What type of loser are you that you can't entertain yourself by yourself? You always need to be around other people all the time. Now, I'm not saying don't be social and be a misanthrope and horn yourself off away from the world, but goddamn, learn to do something by yourself sometimes. Shit. Splatoon
Yeah.
3, they announced a Splatfest. That could have been its own thing. I don't know why the fuck they had to put that in the direct.
Yeah, that could have been a yeah, that could have been a
Yeah.
Twitter thing.
Yeah, Detective Pikachu. Don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I know that sounds terrible. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. Princess Peach. The
I
Batman
don't know if
arc.
they're
What?
gonna have to see more with that. They just teased that game, so
Yeah, they
who
just
knows
showed
what
a
that's
little
gonna
bit of
be.
some shit, so we don't know what it is. Batman Arkham Trilogy. The first two games are amazing. That last game, Arkham Knight, is shit. So
Yeah, I haven't heard too terrible. I think that one was the worst rated.
Arkham Knight.
Yeah,
Well, Arkham Knight is just Arkham Knight is literally like Rocksteady. Like Rocksteady fixated. They're like, well, the Batmobile is gonna tie everything together. It's like, but the Batmobile kind of breaks the game.
yeah. We all know, and I think anybody who has any inkling of the Batman universe knew who the Dark Knight was gonna be, or who the Arkham Knight was gonna be.
You mean who Red Hood was?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
Jason Todd. It was like it's
yeah,
Jason Todd. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, yeah, not surprised. When I heard about that, I was like, yeah, I'm not shocked. That's not really
Yeah,
much of a
yeah.
spoiler for
Because
me.
who could hate like Batman's villains don't hate him that much. Now, someone who he used to mentor, yeah, the Robins all hate his ass. They grow up, they're like, I hate your ass, you piece of shit. I hate you.
Yeah,
I didn't have a childhood. You
yeah,
motherfucker, you. Batman's a terrible mentor. You think it's ironic that the only kid that he had that did well in their lives is Terry McGinnis, the one kid he had nothing to do with their fucking life? Think about that.
yeah,
Terry McGinnis. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. That game looks like a fucking 3DS game.
yeah.
Yeah. Pikmin 4. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't give a shit about Pikmin. I've tried, God knows I've tried, but it just doesn't do anything for me. However, if they give like a little stuffed animal of that dog, I'll totally get one of those. I
Yeah,
don't give a
I
fuck
mean,
about the
like I
game,
said,
but I want that dog. I love dogs, so.
yeah, yeah, like I
Uh,
said, that plushie is gonna sell to a lot of people. That's for sure.
yeah, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one. Not a big one. I don't want a squishmallow. I just want a little one that I can like just put on my desk and just look at it and be like,
Yeah,
oh, that's so cute. Keep it away from my dog
yeah,
because my dog will put it in her mouth and run off with it and hide it because she's like that. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. They're porting a 3DS game. Ah, fucking hell. Mario Rabbids
I want
Sparks of
them.
Hope.
I want them to port Kid Icarus so they can actually have dual stick controls.
Like it was meant
It's
to
one
be
of the
played.
yeah,
Super Mario Brothers Wonder, or as I like to call it, Super Mario Brothers. Mario gave up the mushrooms for the LSD.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You needed something a little better.
he's like, I'm tired of the mushrooms. I need something stronger. Well, try this LSD. Exactly. Yay. And then they announced Mario Kart 8 Deluxe new stuff. I don't give a fuck. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. So what you get with this game is Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3. So all those PS1 and PS2 games, plus the two Metal Gears for the NES and the original MSX ones. Wait, no, that's on PC. The Switch version is you just get kind of some bullshit. So there you go. So you're kind of getting fucked over anyway.
Yeah,
I would not get that game on the Switch. WarioWare
yeah.
Move It. Fuck this game.
Another shitty WarioWare game.
Yeah. I'm personally I'm tired of WarioWare. I've never been more tired of a franchise. I would love to play a 2D. That's why I played Anton Dynamite, because that game looks like it's the WarioWare I want, the Wario Land game I want, but Nintendo just doesn't have the balls to make anymore. Penny's Big Breakaway. It's a 3D Sonic game.
Yeah,
Star Ocean, the second story. Yay! Star Ocean. Ooh! Yay!
I heard that. I heard that's like the best one that they've made outside of because those games just aren't very good. At least the PS2 version I played. Love
Yeah,
steps out.
the last story, the
Yeah,
end story. Yeah, the one they did on the PS2 was shit. As a matter of fact, Star Ocean hasn't been good since the first two games. To be honest with you, Star Ocean 1 and Star Ocean 2. The later
yeah,
Star Ocean games are just because like Star Ocean has a really good premise, but they never really kind of utilize it. You know,
yeah,
like it's like okay, check this out. Set on an underdeveloped world. Stranded Federation officer Claude teams up with a local mystic Reyna, and together the two journey across the land while encountering new allies and enemies. So you have a guy who has all this technology that is on a limited use, teaming up with a local who's using magic and shit. And yet this guy,
yeah,
it's going to devolve into he's using a sword and she's using magic. I'm like, this is just lazy. It's a lazy storytelling.
yeah,
Vampire Survivors, meh. Silent Hope. This looks like it's set in the same universe as Harvest Moon.
yeah,
Headbangers Rhythm Royal, don't give a fuck. Gloomhaven, don't give a fuck. And Manic Mechanics, also don't give a fuck. So like I said, overall, I would give Nintendo's announcements like a C. Initially, it was a
yeah,
B. I gave it a B minus because of Mario, but taking my bias out of it, it's like a C. It wasn't great. It wasn't
yeah,
terrible. It was a solid C. Maybe a C minus if I'm being ultra critical.
yeah.
But any thoughts you'd like to share about it before we wrap things? Oh, no, we have to do a hot take, and then we're done.
Um, let's see. What's a hot take?
No, no. Any thoughts about the direct that you didn't share yesterday?
That-
Any new
Um,
insights you have before we go to hot take?
um, seems like people hype directs up more than anything else. Anything else, whether it's Microsoft, they announce an event, nothing. Sony announces a PlayStation event, maybe you'll hear a little bit of something. But every time Nintendo announces a direct, or anytime there's a rumor that they have a direct, oh boy, the internet just goes nuts.
Well,
It's weird. It's not.
to be fair, most of Sony's announcements are shit. Let's not.
Yeah,
They're not very good. They're not very good. They're absolutely terrible.
yeah,
So
yeah. Nobody really has like that showcase that they had. Oh boy, that was pretty. that was pretty bad compared. All they pretty much had to show was Spider Man.
yeah, and I'm probably not gonna get that game. And I know some people are like, "What do you mean you're not gonna get it?" I don't like Miles Morales.
Yeah,
I've never liked Miles Morales. Some people are gonna get mad about that. Oh, how could you not like Miles Morales? Don't like Miles Morales. Sorry. Um. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Here's my hot take. I guess we can move on to hot take, aka unpopular opinion. Here's my hot take. Nintendo needed to um, give people a reason to hold on to turn on their switches, and I think they did it. They gave everyone some reason to turn on their switch, even though even though people are getting mad. We are getting to the end of the Switch's life cycle. I don't want anyone to be
yeah.
like,
It's
"Oh no, come on."
It's not. It's not like during the Wii era where it just felt like after Skyward
Like a
Sword
little
that was it.
shovelware. Yeah, it's. I mean, you're still getting
Yeah.
games, but it's not like, oh my god, this is the best shit ever.
Yeah, I
That
mean it's not. Yeah, it's not like it's anything huge, but Mario RPG remake, the new 2D Mario game, people are gonna play that.
yeah,
People are gonna be legitimately excited for stuff like that.
yeah. There's a reason to turn your shit on and play it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not. What's the word? I'm not saying that that isn't a thing. What I will say, however, is uh, I'm not like overly enthused because the game I really
Yeah.
want is Bait and Katos.
Yeah.
1 and 2. Although I'm only gonna play the first one because Origins is trash. Bait and Katos Origins is one of the worst games I've ever fucking played before in my life. Um, and I stand by that statement. Um, anyway, uh, anything you want to add?
Nah, I'm good.
No unpopular opinion. Okay, that's the end of the podcast.
Oh wait, I actually do have an unpopular opinion. Sony actually finally made a decent controller.
What,
I
the
got the
PS5
dual.
controller?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good in my opinion.
All right, that's good
It's
for
a
you.
controller that doesn't suck.
I mean, to each his own. Me personally, I've got my 8-bit Doe controller, which works pretty well, and I have my Power A Xbox One controller. Sorry, Xbox X controller, which works pretty well, and I'm happy with that. But to each his own. Um,
Yeah,
Dual shocks are fine. Not gonna. You know, my only issue with the dual shock controllers is, especially the new ones, is if the internal battery dies, you have to rip the thing apart in order to replace it. You can't
yeah,
just you know, Xbox controllers, you just take the back off and put it on there, which is way
yeah,
better for me than oh, I have to rip this shit apart in order to replace the battery, which I'm not. I don't like that.
yeah.
But hey man, if it works for you, I'm happy that it works for you. Um, Anyway, that's the end of this podcast. This is Mr. Red Fox speaking, owner proprietor BS Busters. Got anything you want to pimp out, Kenoshi?
Project Console, 7:30 or 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday nights.
All
See you
right.
there.
All right. Yep, that's the end of this podcast. We're gonna get back to normal streaming. Uh, every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. to typically sometimes 9. These days to 8:30, unless we're joined by a third member, then it goes to 9. That's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. I'm gonna try and stream something tomorrow. Might reinstall Skyrim and play through that, or might do a let's play of the Outer Worlds, the new updated one, whatever. Look forward to that. I'll just probably do it in the afternoon. That's gonna be fun. Um, that's the end of the cast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Play your games. Um, and before you pick a side in anything, go and look shit up. Don't just like, oh, these people did this. Go actually, look at the merits of both sides of the argument. Because I had to embarrass someone on Twitter earlier
Uh,
today because they said some stupid shit. I'm like, don't do that. Don't say that out loud. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyway,